Hey y'all. Happy Saturday. Happy Sabbath. I've been meaning to come on here like all week as per usual. Happy New Year. It's my first time here since the new year, January 8th. It's definitely a resolution of mine to be here a bit more often. And I already have some special guests lined up for the new year. So you should at least see me twice a week, at least. And I'll try to come on here and take some Q&As, answer some frequently asked questions from time to time. So you're going to see more of me this year, but I like to keep it exciting and have some special guests on here. So I have a guest coming on today, and then we have a couple lined up for next week. And really, I wanted to take the opportunity to brag on my clients for a little bit. I touched on this last year. I'm really grateful for my tribe, for all of you guys have been rocking with me from the beginning since 2018. And really, I have the most amazing clients. I talk about you guys all the time. I really appreciate you guys. And I just have the dopest clients. Like, you guys are always so chill. Yesterday was a bit of a catastrophe. I went all the way down to the Toronto location and forgot all the clean robes that were here at home. And so I had to run out and buy some bed sheets, queen bed sheets. And we had a bit of a toga party all day. And then the people in the afternoon, we just got them to like bring skirts. And I just appreciate how chill you guys are, how relaxed and accommodating. That just makes everything easier as a business owner and a busy woman and a mom to know that my clients are just so chill and patient. It's very helpful. So I just want to highlight, like I said, I appreciate you guys. I also want to highlight a lot of my client stories and their progress and everything like that, because I know it can encourage another woman out there that's struggling with something similar. So not everybody is comfortable, going live and sharing their story and what they've dealt with and what they're overcoming. But those of you who are, I welcome you to come and share your story. Just send me a DM and we can set something up. I have guests lined up for, I think, like the next 6 weeks. So I'm really excited about that, to just share with you guys what women have struggled with, what they're dealing with, what they've been able to overcome, and where they're at right now. So stay tuned for that. Also, if you guys have any sort of specific questions or topics that you want to talk about and address, then I, of course, welcome you to share that with me as well. So some of the top questions, I would say, of like 2021, questions that I get all the time, like every single week, at some point, I get this in my DM inbox or something, or people coming in, is do I have the Yoni pearls? Can you get the Yoni pearls? So I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do not encourage the use of the Yoni pearls, so I do not carry them. I don't know where else to direct you to get them. There was a site out of the States that was blocked from shipping to Canada because Health Canada does not want them used. I personally do not agree with anything that's left up inside your system for 72 hours, and that's how the pearls are supposed to be used. So I don't. And another reason why is just because I think it's too invasive to take the raw herbs, insert it, and leave it there for 72 hours, which is what is recommended for best results. I'll never argue with another woman's testimony. So when a woman says she has used the pearls before and it worked, I wouldn't argue that. And it makes sense that it works because the herbs work. So I just don't believe in that route. I think it's too invasive. problematic. Nothing should be left up inside the vagina for more than 12 hours. So that's the problem that I have with the Yoni pearls, and that's why I can't get behind it or carry it. The PERBs work, and therefore the steaming works, and I recommend the steaming or herbal pads as well. So all of that is just more temporary and considerate of the sensitive region. So that is a very popular question that I get. Like I said, at least once a week. What else do people ask? The benefits of steaming, of course. We get that a lot. The benefits are truly endless. But one of the immediate ones is getting rid of like if an infection, if you have a yeast infection or a BV outbreak. That is like probably 80% of my clients are struggling with something like that, and it's most the common one that you'll see. That is like, can be same day results or less than 24 hours. Most people come back in less than 24 hours and say the odor is gone and the discharge has cleared up and their discharge is now clear. And that's what you want. So you don't want like a cloudy, white, chunky kind of discharge. That can be problematic. And the steaming will help to clear that up. And eventually you're going to have a nice fresh scent and clear discharge, which is what you want, which is especially best for fertility if that's what you're looking to seek. So that's one of the immediate ones. It can also help with like your period. If you have irregular periods, very painful periods, anything like that, it's going to help to improve those conditions as well. We've been able to deal with the symptoms of PCOS, endometriosis. We've been able to shrink fibroids. And my most exciting one, of course, is dealing with unexplained infertility. So those are just some of the things that we can do with Yoni steaming, some of the benefits of Yoni steaming. So I encourage you guys to go to my website, yonispa.ca, and check out the reviews there. You can read what clients are saying. Also on the Fresher website where we do the scheduling, you can also see what clients have to say there after they've come in and tried the service. So here is our guest. She is finally here. Let me just bring Miss Melissa on. It's been a little while. Be patient. Okay. Oop. It says you declined, my dear. Let me send it again. Hey, there you are.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So this is Melissa. It's Happy New Year. I haven't seen you since the New Year yet.
Right.
So how was the holiday time for you guys?
Oh, it was good. It was so good. We did a whole bunch of activities. I went all out for her.
I love it.
So we saw some lights, and then we took some pictures with the Grinch at the mall.
I saw that. That was cute.
Yeah, she wasn't ready for that. That was a surprise. So she loved that. And then we saw the Nutcracker. We had a pajama party.
The Nutcracker was a stage play in Toronto?
Oh, yeah. It was at the Immersive Theater. I don't recommend it. It wasn't good. It was literally 30 minutes. People were like sitting on the floor.
Oh, wow. So they oversold the tickets.
No. That was the whole thing.
Oh,
that was what it was. So you're literally in a room and it's all across the walls, but like you had places to sit on the floor. And I'm just like, I asked the girl, I'm like, so you mean we paid our money to sit on the dirty floor? No. And when people went on Facebook to complain, they deleted the comments.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
so I've been
cool.
No, it's not cool. I mean, I'm the type of person, just be honest with people and just say, you might have to sit on the floor. Like, give people the heads
up. Or if that's the vibe you're going for, then be clear that that's the experience you're trying to
create. Exactly. So, yeah, she liked it, but she was like, that's it? Like 30 minutes. We made a fun day out of it. We took the GO train down and everything, and she's like, that's it?
They love that. I
Yeah,
remember the
so that
first
was
time I
fun.
took my daughter on the GO train to go to Niagara, and she sat down and she's like, "So are they gonna bring us snacks?" I'm like, "This is not an airplane."
Not that kind of ride, hon.
Yeah, so yeah, she thought it was gonna be all that. So that's fun. So you made the
Oh,
most of it with your daughter. That's exciting.
yes. Yeah.
I sign up for everything virtual. You already know me. Everything you're
Yeah, yeah,
recommending,
yeah.
I'm like, is it online? So yeah, we played it pretty chill and quiet. Went over to my parents for the Christmas
Right.
Day and the New Year's Day. But yeah, this pandemic, I used to be like such a hot foot, and now I'm
I
such
know.
a homebody. I'm ready to like make everything home based. But
Yeah, at this point we might as well and do what we can for the kids, right? Like it's
that's
just
it.
unfortunate. Like she's had it so rough, so I really wanted to go all out for Christmas for her, like, but the kids are suffering. It's not cool.
I know it's a lot. It's a lot. How would she say it is? Is she happy? Hey, money love.
How was your holiday? It was great.
Good,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad
And you
you.
saw the decorations, so she was
Yeah,
over the
you had the elf on the shelf all over the place. I saw that like every day
Peter.
you were moving that around.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you've been here for a bit now. Hey, Renda. Um, how did you first hear about Yoni steaming? Where did you hear it? How did you discover it?
Um, I've heard about it for a couple of years now. I guess just like randomly, but mostly in the States. And it was always something I was curious to do, but I never knew of all the benefits to it. Like I just knew it was just something that you did.
Mm-hmm.
Being a Trinidadian background, I know it's part of our culture as well. But normally after you have a child, you would steam and just clear your system, basically.
Yep.
I know Africans do that. I remember after I had my daughter, my mom and my husband's mother-in-law, sorry, she had told me, yeah, make sure you steam. So that was just
Yeah.
something that we did. But it was mostly after you had a child, not so much like through each month.
Right.
And for years, I've been complaining about cramps, and randomly, my girlfriend found your page. And I was like, oh my gosh, finally one in Canada, because every time you hear it, it's in the States. So she
Yeah.
just give her a call. You have nothing to lose. So I'm like, why not? At this point, I will try anything.
Right.
And here I am. Now you can't get rid of me.
I don't want to. So you were aware of yoni steaming almost like your whole life. You were aware of the concept
I've just been
of
aware
that
of the
therapy.
concept, that I know, but when I heard about it, I knew it was just mostly for after having a child. I
Right.
never heard of it as being like a monthly thing for your cycle. And I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, yo, that's just something that's so cool. Like,
Right.
but I never heard anything more about it. That was just pretty much it.
So you had heard about it. You saw that they were doing it in the States outside of postpartum recovery.
Right, right.
And then what made you want to try it personally? Why did you go looking?
When my friend told me about when she found your page, and I was reading up some of the posts that you had put up and then some of the comments. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let me really look into this because some of the comments were talking about relief from cramps and stuff like that. And my girlfriend referred me because I suffered for years with cramps.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? Let me take a look into this finally because finally I have access to it now. It's in Canada. Let me look it up. And when I realized that the benefits, in terms of, vaginal health and um, the whole cycle health in general. And
Mm-hmm.
number one being cramps,
Yeah.
relieving of cramps. I was like, you know what? It's something I'm going to take a shot at because I've been dealing with it for so many years and it's literally been debilitating. And I'm like, I've had enough because I'm 38 and I've been dealing with cramps since I got my period at the age of 12, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So all those years I've had cramps and I'm like, I'm tired. I'm
Yeah.
just tired. I need some type of relief.
And what
And so
was your period like before I met you? I know obviously you said you've been dealing with pain since you were 12, 13. What would your period look like? What would that be like? I remember that really stood out to me when you first came to me.
Yes. So let's see. When I first started, when you're a
I mean,
teenager, it
your whole
starts with
family dynamic, the fact that everyone knows that when you're on your period? Like
Oh,
every
yeah. So,
how
when I'm on my period, stay away from me. Do not even look at me, much less breathe in my direction. Like
Mhm.
everyone just knows. My friends, family, they know, okay, Melissa, this is her time. Give her that week to just be on her own. Um, and it's not just the cramps, it's just the mood. I don't want to be bothered.
Mhm.
Whereas now, after doing some steaming, it's like, oh, you're on your period. Oh, okay. That's cool.
You
Okay,
got those
cool.
hormones
Like,
in check.
yeah, like even him, like sometimes my husband be like, oh, you're on your period. I'm like, yeah, I'm almost done. He's like, whoa, I had no idea. Whereas before now it's just like, what do you want?
Yeah. You
So
definitely.
now like
So
they could survive.
they could you still be able to tell exactly when you're on your period. Your behavior was off, your mood was off,
Yes.
attitude wasn't right, and
No, it's just
that
okay.
will
Stop.
change. So going back to your period before, how did you deal with your period? I remember you telling me you used to use like a significant
Um,
amount of painkillers to manage the pain.
yeah, I would like growing up, I used to have to take prescriptions. Excuse me, but I had to stop that because once the prescriptions, your body gets used to it, it stops working.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times back in the day I've had to take time off work. And I'm like, I can't take time off work every single month.
Mm-hmm.
Years past, I would drink like tea. I
Mm-hmm.
would in Trinidad we would boil like orange peel and put some bitters in it and
Mm-hmm.
drink that. And I would still take that with a leaf. So literally I would take like maybe 6 leaves in a
Mm-hmm.
day
Mm-hmm.
just to cope. And that with tea. And I still wouldn't even be pain free. That would just allow me to cope throughout my workday.
That's crazy. Six
Yeah.
Aleve and tea,
6 leaves
and still
and
have
tea.
pain.
And I would still have pain. And I would still use like a heating pad just to
That's crazy.
cope. And I wasn't even pain free.
So your periods were very painful.
Very, very painful. And I mean like throughout the whole period.
Mm-hmm. Were they
So
really
like
long?
when I first started having my periods when I was like 12 or whatever, it'd be like maybe 7 days.
Okay.
But throughout the years and once I've switched over I switched to the cup basically, and
Mm-hmm.
that has drastically decreased my
Mm-hmm.
days. So I would go from like 7 to 5, and now it's down to 3. But even like with the 3, I'd be cramping like every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would think I would have it for like 7 days. Like I would be in that much pain just for the 3 days. I'm still in
Mm-hmm.
pain.
So you switched to the menstrual cup is what you're saying, right?
The menstrual cup, yes, that's correct.
And how
Yeah,
did you like switching to that?
it was great. It was
Mm-hmm.
really great. I stopped liking pads because you just felt like you were wearing diapers, and it just felt you
Mm-hmm.
feel icky. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not something we talk about, but we feel icky. I used tampons and I hated the feeling of taking out, putting in.
Yep.
It's too much going on down there on top of feeling crappy and then, you know what I mean? So switching to
Yep.
the cup, huge difference. I don't
Yep.
feel dirty.
Yep.
Like
I
there will be
I
times
tried to do the
I'm
exact same. I only
yeah.
tried it because I was gonna retail it. A client told me about it. My clients put me onto a lot of things, and then I tried.
Mhm.
First month was a little. By second month,
Yeah.
I got my groove, and now you couldn't take it from me. I definitely
Yeah. I've been
prefer it.
on it.
The
Yeah.
only thing is,
Years
like
I've
I
been
said
using it.
earlier in the call, like I don't do it all day long. Like I don't do it day and night. Like I can't do it 24
Mm.
hours. I don't think you should leave anything up in there 24 hours. That's why there's the warning on the box of tampons and the cup, right? So
Correct. Yep.
I've met people who do wear it day and night. But anytime I try to wear it day and night, I wake up with a migraine in the morning.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
I wear
okay.
it in the day, and then I'll wear the pad at night, or a tampon if I want to feel like really free. But I'm more so of
Mhm.
the pad at nighttime only. But yeah, I love how free you feel with the cup. So
Yeah.
it's good to hear that you feel also that your flow changed and it became not as
Yeah.
long as you switched to. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that probably speaks to just being able to the fact that it could flow freely,
Yes.
probably, right, and everything was coming out sooner instead of being slowed down, especially like some people
Yeah.
refer to the tampon as a plug, and
I
so
was just
because
about to
you're
say
plugged
that. Yeah.
in, and that leads to cramping and
I
obviously
really
that
believe that
old
too.
stagnation, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it can flow better that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like that. So you talked about what your period was. So then you saw that some of the benefits was getting rid of the pain. Someone said, I haven't tried the cup. Is it messy to remove? No. So when you go to remove it, you just like pinch it and pull
Yeah,
it down, and you're
yeah.
sitting over the toilet. So you just dump it. Um, and then, rinse it out, wash it. Some people
Yeah.
do it
And you put it back in.
yeah. Some people will do it in the shower just because
Mm-hmm.
go right
Because
into
you're
the
already in the shower. Yeah.
yeah, you go
There's
right
definitely a learning curve to it. So I would suggest your first time, do it when you're not going out for the
hmm
whole for the first day,
hmm
so you can test yourself out.
hmm
Fortunately for me, I always thought I was super heavy because I would wear like literally a tampon plus two pads sometimes.
Wow.
But switching to the cup, I realized I'm not as heavy as I thought it would be. So sometimes I think back and I'm like, those stuff could affect your period.
They do.
So, yeah. So coming to the cup, I could literally go 12 hours with only changing it once.
Right.
So literally, I will go like changing it twice in one day, in 24 hours,
Right.
fortunately. So the thing with this, you just have to, if you're heavy, you'd
hmm
basically just empty it out more often. That's
That's what I
basically
tell
what it
people.
is.
And anytime people are concerned that it can't handle them because of the fact that
The flow.
they're heavy, I'm just
Hmm.
like, well, you can back it up with a pad until you
If you
do
need to.
start
Yeah,
to trust it.
absolutely.
And that's also what, to me, that's why the period panties are there too, right?
I was just
Because
about to say, yeah.
I don't like how period panties are marketed that it can hold up to 2 tampons worth of
Yeah, I don't know about
or
that.
liquid.
That's,
Yeah, it makes
mm-mm.
it sound like you can just wear it exclusively, but I do think they're the
Yeah,
perfect partner
as a
to
backup. Correct. Correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, going back to the pads, they absolutely do make a difference. I've had clients come to me, it's their first appointment, and they told
Hmm.
me that one of the changes they had made before coming trying steaming was switching to organic, and they noticed
Yeah.
the flow change and the period.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
In it. So that's one things that's like the first recommendation I make in partnering with the steaming to improve your
Yeah,
cycle is using organic pads, tampon liners, wipes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were saying that you saw that it could help with the period pain and you
Yeah.
had nothing to lose, so then you tried it out. So what were you expecting when you booked your first appointment? What were you expecting from the experience?
Um, just for the pain to go away, to be quite honest with you. I didn't really have expectations on how it would feel when I'm
Okay.
doing it. But I just went in there
But you
being
had sorry,
open-minded.
you had steam be after you had your daughter, right? You because your in-laws and your mom told you to steam.
Um,
Did you know?
I didn't actually though.
Okay, so you didn't follow through
I
with
just
that.
soaked. I just soaked in the tub. I just soaked in the
Okay.
tub.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you weren't
Um,
necessarily nervous about trying it for your first time though.
no, I was just more so like, you know what? I'm just gonna try
Interested.
it because you never know unless you try.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah. I
try it.
think
If it works, great. If it doesn't, at least I could say I tried.
yeah. So when you said that the way that you found me was your friend put you onto my page. Now, had your
Yes.
friend been here before or were you the first one to come?
That's the funny part. No. And I'm like, how did you find her? And she's like, oh, I just randomly found her. I was like, oh,
Okay.
it was funny because I made a joke with her. I'm like, so you could have like kind of just put him into the slaughter. I'm like, I'm going by this place. I don't know. You know what
It's
I'm
funny
like,
you say that. A
so we
lot of
had a
people
good
put
joke
their
about that.
friends up to be guinea pigs. So
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah,
people
I was
be
literally
like,
the guinea
"Oh, we've
pig.
been watching you for a while. We all want to come, but then they told me to go try it first." So,
So I'm like, okay,
so
fine. I'll
she
take it
didn't
with
tell
me.
you.
You know what? Let me be the guinea pig. I'm like, okay, mom, this is where I'm going, just in case. You find my body somewhere,
I do the same thing, especially when I go for
right?
mobile appointments to somebody I don't know.
Listen,
I do the same thing.
listen. You never know. You never know,
You can't be too safe.
right?
Okay, so she wasn't here. So you came and you were gonna try it for your first time. You had no expectations. I remember you walking up actually. You were just really
Yeah,
chill, really ready to
yeah,
just try this.
yes.
So do you remember it's been a little while now, we've been together for a few months. So do you remember your first time and what was that experience for you?
I do. I do. You know what? What I did not expect was for it to be so relaxing
Okay.
because you don't. In a sense, you're kind of thinking you're going there and pum pums all out for everybody to see. But that is not what happened. You literally, when I went there, you made me feel very comfortable. And just how we're talking now, it was like a whole vibe. We just, cracked some jokes. You asked me some questions and you handed me the skirt and you're like, okay, go upstairs and undress. And this skirt was very, very long. So there's no way for me to feel like I'm exposing myself. You know what I'm saying? It was very private and comfortable. That was the main thing for me that I noticed. Like, I did not feel any sense of discomfort at all.
Right.
It was like,
people do make the assumption. People are called ahead to be like, well, because of the pandemic, I haven't been able to get a wax, so like, don't judge me.
Yes,
Girl,
that was
I'm
my
not even
concern
gonna
too.
see anything.
Yeah, you see nothing, literally.
I don't see anything. So
She gives you this long skirt. It's like a long gown, literally. You go upstairs, you change, you come down, and you just there.
So do you remember after your first team, what was that like? Do you remember anything that happened after the first time?
Okay, one thing I will say, that thing was hot. So I was not prepared how hot it was. Whew! I sweat. I really sweat that day. I will tell you, ladies, when you go, be comfortable. Because that first day, I think I wore like a shirt and I was just like, whew. But like the second time I kept going. Now I'm just like sports bra and just my skirt. And that's it. Because I learned my lesson after the first one.
And to clarify, when she says it's so hot, like her whole body feels warm. So she just takes off her shirt and everything and just wears a skirt.
Yeah, skirt and a sports bra. And you trust me when I say don't wear a lot of clothing because you are going to sweat. Yeah, the first time.
They come too, but
yeah. That first time I was like, "Whoo!" I thought like she was gonna burn off, but she showed me the techniques. You rock from side to side, and honestly, after a couple of times, it's like nothing. You get used to it. But after the first one, I remember the cramps weren't as bad. It wasn't a huge difference, like a huge difference after like the first couple of ones. But I did notice like, okay, so the first period wasn't that bad. I was like, okay.
I remember you said, I think it was after your second time that you didn't have to take the 6 painkillers anymore.
Yeah, that's correct. I think after this, was it the second one? I dropped from like 6 pills to maybe like 3.
Yeah. You said you had
something
cut
like
it
that.
in half. You used to take like 2 the 4 later and then 6.
Yeah, 2 every couple of hours.
Yeah. You had cut it down to 3 and eventually you got to the point where you could make it through the day without it.
And I can make it through the day,
I remember you said
and now it's not so, now it's more so of an annoyance.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was debilitating. Whereas now I can cope with just like a heating pad if it becomes that annoying.
Right.
But it's manageable now, and that's what I wanted. You know what I mean? Just to be able to cope throughout my whole day and not just be crunched in the fetal position on my bed or on the floor. Sometimes there have been times I've been crunched out from the floor, and now I'm good.
I love it. Somebody said, I remember after my first team, I got my period like a true boss. It just came and left with no issues. That's what it's supposed to do.
Yes, exactly. She came and she's like, I'm here, I'm gone. And she left the building.
I tell people that your period is only supposed to be as inconveniencing as going to the bathroom to relieve yourself. That's all it's supposed to be.
That's all it's supposed to be.
Debilitating. It's not supposed
to be. Yeah.
Call you out of work or call you out of school. If your flow is so excessive that you can't leave the house, that's a problem.
Correct.
Sometimes it could be because of fibroids. That's when my fibroids were too serious, when I couldn't leave the house. And I was ready to do something about it. So yeah, it's not supposed to be like that.
No, it's not.
That's good. I love it.
Yeah,
I love hearing your story and like what you talked about, like where you started with your pain, painkillers, and then where you are now.
But so I you know me, I'm preaching to everybody. I highly recommend the steaming. It's just that alone Trust me. If it could help me, it could help you. Trust me. Because there have been, when I'm telling you, I've been dealing with cramps for years, since I was like 12. So it's bad.
That's crazy. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you have the cup and you know to use the organic products. So between switching to the cup that already started improving things for you, you know to use the organic products instead of the
Hmm.
regular ones.
Yeah.
And then now you've incorporated the regular steaming into
Yeah.
your routine. That's made a big difference. And then after that, I don't know if we've talked about it much lately, but always encouraging people to keep their water intake up, and if they need to get like a an app that will remind you to consume more water.
Yeah. I need
That's
to do that.
big. And eating a lot of proper whole foods, especially when you're on your period, more so than any
Mm,
time of the month, is very important and valuable to be eating
correct.
good real whole foods and not so much processed foods.
Correct. And that's one thing that sucks is that when you're in pain, you don't feel like eating.
You don't.
So,
Times.
the gas
It's good to
builds
have
up.
it already made up. Like my saving grace is that I'll have pre-cooked, home cooked food in the freezer,
Hmm.
and so
Smart.
on a busy day or just not feeling up to cooking, I'll just pull that out. And so
Hmm.
fast food, fast,
Yeah,
but it's home cooked. It's real food.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's good. So talk about the rest of your journey. Like you talked about getting your period early and how painful that was. Um,
Hmm.
and you discovered postpartum, but just talk about your story and motherhood and womanhood and what you wish you had known earlier, all of that good stuff.
Like just in general, motherhood.
Hmm.
Um, where did I begin? Okay. Well, one thing I showed you the book. I forget. I don't even have the book. Do you have the book? I don't have it. It's
I do.
somewhere there.
Brooke Fields, right?
Good book shields. Yeah.
Hmm.
So this is actually something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that's we don't speak about in our community.
Hmm.
And that's postpartum depression. And not many people know this, obviously just family and close friends, but I suffered with that. And it's unfortunate that it's such a stigma that people are ashamed to speak about it. I too was ashamed. And I
Okay.
remember um, when I discovered that I had it was literally a few weeks after my daughter was born.
Okay.
And I remember talking to my mom on the phone. I remember this like just yesterday. And I remember holding my daughter in my hands, bawling my eyes out, and telling my mom that I'm just not happy.
Mm.
I'm not loving this child like I should be because everyone else around me was so happy and so in love with their baby. And, they just were just on top of the moon. Like, you know what I mean? And I wasn't. And I was just like, well, what's wrong with me? And my mom was just like, well, you know what? Maybe it's time to see a doctor. And I remember being terrified of going
Yeah.
to the doctor. I'm just like, what if I have to get medication? You know, that's not known in our community. Like
Right.
this is, and I remember being told, like, this is not a black issue. Us black people don't deal with that. And
Right.
it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame because I can tell you this right now. There are many women and men get this too. Don't get it twisted.
Right.
That are suffering in silence, but
Right.
we have to break the stigma. Mental illness is a big thing in our community. We're so used to just brushing it underneath the rug. We have to stop that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember
Dealt
I
with.
have to, and I have to, and I always sit back and I think that I'm very, very lucky that I had the support from family and friends, even when I was ashamed to speak about it. I remember I was in a mom group on Facebook, believe it or not, and they encouraged me, Melissa, speak up. You
Mhm.
have to speak up, otherwise you're not going to get the help.
Right.
And I spoke up. I remember being ashamed and scared, and guilt. Guilt was the biggest thing because I was just like, how come everyone else loves their kid? No one
Mm-hmm.
else is having these thoughts. I'm a mom. I should be able to, excuse me, cook, clean, take care of my kid, take care of my husband, take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I shouldn't be feeling down. It's not the baby blues. I should be able to get over it. And I just couldn't. And I felt horrible. I felt absolutely horrible. Spoke to my doctor. I was on medication. And I remember one time the medication, unfortunately, one thing they don't tell you is that the medication takes a while before it kicks in.
Okay.
And I remember one day I had a breakdown. I was seeing a counselor for it. I was going to a support group.
Mm-hmm.
And one day that my husband was supposed to come, and it was great because the husbands were able to join and see what the women are
Okay.
talking about. And
Right.
I was excited about it. And I just remember one thing led to another. Things just weren't falling in place for us to go that day. He
Okay.
was running late coming home from work, and I remember we had an issue with the car. And I just remember breaking down when I couldn't go. And that was it for me. The next day they had to call in the nurse
Okay.
to come and speak to me. And this story, literally nobody knows, but I'm going to speak up about it because it's real. People need to know.
Hmm.
And I remember the nurse came and they spoke to me.
So did you break
And
down? Was this at home or this
I
was
broke down at home. I
okay?
broke down and I was having some thoughts
Mm-hmm.
about harming myself and harming my child. And it's shitty because, you feel shitty about that. But
Let's go.
when you're going through that mental, I guess, relapse, so to speak, you're not thinking about in the now. You're just thinking about, I need to escape this the quickest and most logical way at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the right thing to think about, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what your mind is going through at that time. And this is why you have to be careful when you're dealing with people who are having mental illnesses. They
Right.
cannot just snap out of it. They cannot just pray about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
went so deep. I was thinking about thoughts. I remember one day telling my mom, just take her and just leave me alone. And the day after this episode, the nurse came. They sent a police officer here too. Long story short, I ended up in the hospital because I had a breakdown so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know what? It was rough, but it was at the same time, it was a good experience because I got to see what it was like in a mental hospital. And let me tell you that's it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. When I tell you it's real, it's like those movies, like
Mm-hmm.
it's the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what sucks is that being a new mom, you're already feeling guilty
Right.
and ashamed. And because
You
it
said
was so serious,
this was in weeks of you having your daughter, right?
this about this time now was a couple of months in.
Okay.
So less than 6 months.
Okay.
So at the hospital now, we had to fight to allow her to stay at the hospital
Okay.
because they wanted to separate us. But at this point, I was still breastfeeding, exclusively breastfeeding. She
Mm-hmm.
was not on formula and she refused to take formula.
Good.
So we actually literally had to fight. My mom fought tooth and nail to allow her to stay at the hospital.
Right.
And she stayed. She was allowed to stay. I
Mm.
remember my mom was there. My cousin showed up. Obviously, my husband was there. And we had to fight for her to stay in the hospital. But we didn't stay on the same floor. She was on the lower floor in the pediatrics, I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
literally, she was brought up for me to feed her
And take it.
and to take her back downstairs. And I could tell you, like, even to feed her, I couldn't be left alone with her.
Mm-hmm.
They would stay with her while I breastfed her. And then that was it.
How
And she would
how
leave.
was it like for you when you were in there? Were you getting the peace of mind you needed, the freedom you needed?
At the beginning, I was scared. I'm not gonna lie. I was scared because I didn't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if you should be honest with them
Mm-hmm.
or if you should lie. That's that's you feel trapped because if
That,
you're
that, that sounds
honest,
that sounds like the truest thing ever said.
yeah,
You
yeah,
just don't know the right thing to say.
you don't know the right thing to say because if you tell the truth now, are you gonna see your kid again?
Right.
And if you don't tell the truth, are you going to get the help?
Right.
So I remember one time a lady came in and we were speaking, and I wasn't even allowed to have a pen in the room with me.
Okay.
Not even so much a pen because they would be scared I would harm myself.
Right.
So I would be talking to, I had a doctor, a psychiatrist I spoke with, and I
Mm-hmm.
would speak with him. I think it was like once a week, whatever. And I was on medication.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also had children's aid got involved. So it was a big deal.
Right.
So she would speak with me, and at one point they they wanted to take my child. They wanted to take my child. So
You
the
slept
doctor
since
had,
6 months old.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because it got that serious.
Mm,
And, the family had to fight with me. I had counselors to prove that I was seeking help. And then I had the psychiatrist. He had to fight with me and say, no, she's getting the help that she needed.
mm.
So all of this is going on. Meanwhile, I'm trying to stay afloat
Wow.
while I'm there.
It
Um,
sounds
I,
it sounds like you go there for help and you ended up with like more stress.
and I could tell you this is exactly why people suffer in silence.
Hmm.
Because you know what? I get it. You have to protect the child. But
Hmm.
you also have to remember no mother is purposely doing this.
Hmm.
Like I'm not there to hurt my child. This is a child I've always wanted. I
Yeah.
would die for my kid. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But you're feeling crappy as is, and then
Hmm.
you're feeling guilty because now my child's gonna get taken away for something I have no control over. And
Hmm.
it's like, well, maybe I should not have said anything, but if I didn't, I would not have gotten the help.
Right.
So it's a catch 22. You're stuck, right? And
Right.
again, this is why women suffer because people just think, oh, get over it. How could you have those thoughts of, wanting to harm your child?
Hmm.
When you're in that situation, you're not thinking about
Right.
anything. You're just thinking it might just be easier if the world was without me.
Right.
And then you think, well, who's going to take care of the child? So then take the child too. Is it shitty to think about? Absolutely. But
Hmm.
this is what you're thinking about at that time. And people don't talk about this. And it's very unfortunate because, like I said, there are lots of women that never got the chance to
Hmm.
get the help that they wanted
Hmm.
because people either they didn't believe them or
Hmm.
they just didn't give them the help that they needed.
It's so common to yeah, to not believe or not provide the help. And honestly, sometimes it's a matter of wrapping your head around it. So
Hmm.
people can hear you saying you have these thoughts, but it's just like, but I know you love this child, like you pray for this child, you
Right,
have this child. You don't really mean that, so what do you, right? So
right.
they're thinking of it logically, but there's not a logical thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was gonna ask, going back, if there was something that triggered you, that would make you feel this upset and depressed. Like, if was she colicky or anything like that? But you
No,
said really it was just about you being depressed. It started with
it was
you
just, yeah,
feeling
just
this
me being
way
depressed.
and then thinking you should like take your responsibilities with you. So what did this help look like? So you made this fight and this plea that you were getting the help that you needed and you were eventually going to be in the right mind to care for her properly. So what did this help look like? How did it turn around?
So basically, excuse me, um, I continued with seeing a psychiatrist,
Mm-hmm.
and I was on medication. At one point, I was on 3 different medications. I will say, eventually being in the hospital, I think I was in there for about a week or two.
Okay.
That did help because it allowed me to, like I said, she was on another level, and I will say they did take good care of her.
Okay.
I always got visits. My husband came to visit me, my cousins, my mom, my mother-in-law.
Nice.
Um, they did come. I did get visits, and
Mm-hmm.
they would also go downstairs and check up on Sierra.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but being there did allow me to get rest. And that's a lot of things that, us as moms don't realize. You need to get the rest. And unfortunately, society doesn't help. And
Mm-hmm.
then we put a lot of burden on ourselves that we as a mom, we have to do it all. No, you do not. And I think I kind of blame myself for that too, because I just had in my mind I had to do it all. And I could have just accepted the help. And not only that, is that if you offer to help a new mom, it's not just coming there and holding the baby. It's coming there and talking to her
Yeah.
about other things besides the baby. It's
Right.
offering to maybe cook her a meal or
Yep.
maybe just go for a walk with her or maybe just watch the baby while she can shower or sleep. But it's not just holding the baby because as a new mom, you get so consumed about the baby and it's just like
You
you're
know,
nobody now besides
there's
just a milk
a
machine.
there's a viral TikTok about that right now. People call it
Hmm.
the baby, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, it's more than coming to hold the baby. And sometimes I feel like, as far as my experience, it's just like I actually want to hold the baby. I want you to do these chores that I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want, you know what I mean? I want this time with her. And like I
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
school when I had my daughter, so it was just like any time I had with her was precious because I did have to be away for school and for work and stuff. I didn't have a proper maternity leave with my first,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
like it's all the other jobs that I don't.
Correct. Correct.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's how you could help me, which is where doulas come into play now too.
Mhm.
And I think they've noticed a significant improvement in the quality of like postpartum recovery and like the
Yes.
decrease of postpartum depression, having the support of a doula,
Having the support.
right?
It's a big deal. Because even with me, I was so protective of Sierra too. I didn't want anybody to hold her.
Mm,
Like not even like mothers, friends. Like it got to a point where I was just so protective. I didn't want visitors. Like you just got, I don't know, it's almost just like something just took over me and I
yeah.
only trusted her father to take care of her. I remember holding her and having a cup of tea and being so scared that I would spill the tea on her. Or if somebody held her, she would just slip through them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you just have all these thoughts and you just
Weird.
go
Yeah.
into protective mode, right? And you just think you have to do it all. But that support is crucial. Um,
Use
it's a
it.
big deal. It's a big deal.
I'm a big believer that it takes a village.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And just having someone talk to the mom. As a new mom, you just think you have it and you don't want to hear from other people. Um, and sometimes the support can come across, and I never had this personally, but sometimes support can come across as you don't know what you're doing as a
Mm,
new mom. You don't know what you're doing. Just let me do it. And that doesn't help either.
no.
Give the mom a chance as well.
Let her make
Um,
her mistakes because
yeah, let
especially
her make
for
her
a small
mistakes.
time.
Yeah, allow
Yeah,
her. Give
if,
her that time.
if we're talking about personal preference things, let them make their mistakes. I even myself, like, I'm by no means older, mature, but I can see my younger friends now having their children, and like I'm hearing things, and like I just say it in a non-judgment way, like, this is the reason why I believe this is great, and you just all you can do is leave it with them,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, just
Not
encourage them. That's all that it is.
yeah, not knocking what they're doing, how they're doing, but like this
Mhm.
is why I believe this way, and all you can do is leave it there in the air. And if their way starts to fail, then they'll remember that thing that you planted in their head a while ago,
Yeah,
right? And they'll pull on it if they're interested. So, yeah, definitely supporting in a non-judgment way is big.
yeah, and just allowing the mom to ask, like um, I feel like new parents aren't given the chance to figure things out. I remember the best advice I ever got, and this was actually from my cousin Natasha, and she told me the best advice I can give you is that you'll figure it out, and if
Mm,
you can't figure it out, you'll ask for help.
mm,
And eventually, because again, you think it's supposed to be a certain way, and if you don't feel a certain way, you're not looking a certain way, you're
mm.
always tired, and all of a sudden now you're thinking something is wrong.
Right.
And then all that stuff starts to pile on. You know what I mean? And I'm thankful that I did have a lot of support because I'll be honest with you, I don't know where I would be today if I didn't have the support.
Hmm. And
I'll be quite honest with you.
how long were you in the hospital, and when did you find things turned around for you?
I think I was in the hospital for about a week.
Okay.
And I continued with the support. So I had the support from my family,
Hmm.
cousins, sister-in-law, friends, mothers, and then I also had my support group online. And believe it or not, I just joined this Facebook group. We were all pregnant at the same time, and we just remained friends. I remember one by one we started having our babies, and we would just support for each other. That was
Hmm.
a huge difference for me. I say that to them, they were the ones that pushed me to seek help. So
Okay.
these are a group of women, yeah. So these group of women,
Was it local? Was it a Toronto group?
it was actually in Canada, so it wasn't in Toronto, so in Canada, but
Okay.
they were all based everywhere. So like, Vancouver,
Right.
Alberta, you name it.
Yeah.
But we just found each other on Facebook and they were ended up being bigger support. And we're still friends to this day, which is so crazy.
Good.
We just randomly met and they were my biggest support and they were just kept saying, reach out for help. And they were the ones that encouraged me to speak to my mom initially. And that gave me the push to, go to my doctor. So I had the support from my doctor, thank God, the psychiatrist, the medicine, the medication, like I said. And I had support groups. I would go to a support group, and which was nice because I think it was at the time maybe 5 moms, and we brought our babies with us.
Nice.
And this was an opportunity to talk about our feelings with
Right.
no judgment, which was so great. So we could talk about things that we were ashamed to speak about to our friends and family, things that angered us, things that triggered us, and it was a no judgment zone. So that helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I liked about it too was that you were allowed to be free. Because sometimes when you speak up and say, okay, I feel shitty today, it's common for someone to say, don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But with the support group, you were allowed to feel that way. And I remember one girl always told me, it's okay not to be okay.
Right.
We're not okay all the time. And we
Mm-hmm.
were allowed to say, I feel crappy today. I feel like a horrible mother today. And you were allowed to vocalize that without someone saying, oh, don't feel like that. Because sometimes you do.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, as a parent, you're not the greatest all the time.
Yeah.
And
You
you
feel
have that
it was
opportunity.
it was big for you to have that space where you could be imperfect as a parent.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And especially, I will say that these groups, they're predominantly white. So as a black woman, a West Indian woman, I didn't have that community at that time for me to be amongst my own to say this is how I feel. So
Right.
it was kind of nice that I was welcomed and I could express this is not how I grew up. So it
Right.
was nice to say that, okay, that's your culture, but you're allowed to kind of step out of your culture and just be real. Because in my
Yep.
culture, we don't talk about this. We're basically
So
told this is not
where,
a black thing.
where you ended up getting the support you needed, you're
Hmm.
saying that was dominantly white space.
Yes, it was.
So you feel like that we need this space within the Black community,
Yes,
a
we
place
do.
started,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
right?
mental illness, depression, it's like an umbrella, but there's different parts of that umbrella. So there's postpartum. I mean, there's mental illness over, just anxiety. Anxiety alone is mental illness. There's just so many brackets underneath the term depression. There's so many things underneath it. And in the Black community, we do not discuss it. For
Mm-hmm.
some reason, we have this stigma that it's not a Black thing. It's not a West
Yeah,
Indian thing. That's a
I
white
definitely
thing.
feel like
That's not the case.
we're starting to have conversations around it. For example,
Absolutely.
here in Toronto, we have like a Black Mental Health Day in March. I think it
Yes.
started like the year before last, if I'm correct. And so
Hmm.
definitely starting to have those conversations. But I
We
think it's
need
so
to.
important to have this space. We like, yeah, like you said, especially specifically to postpartum depression,
Hmm.
creating that safe space.
Exactly. And another thing too, one thing that I learned is that men suffer just as well. It's not just women. Men suffer now, women, we might be the emotional kind to cry and not and shut everybody else out. But
Mhm.
there's different versions of it. You can have anxiety. Your husband can be just anxious. He could be angry all the time. He could shut you out. He can break down and cry. So it's not just women, it's men too.
So it
And
manifests
that's
different ways in different people.
absolutely, yeah. Men are affected just the same. That's one thing I learned when I was in the support group.
Mhm.
Men suffer just the same, and unfortunately, with men, especially in our community, men have to be, strong, and you know what I mean. You're not allowed to be weak. There's no such
Right.
thing as weak, but I'll use weak as lack
Yeah.
of a better term.
That's how it would
Men
be.
are not allowed to be weak and vulnerable. They're not allowed to cry. They have to be strong for the family.
Mhm.
No, your woman can hold you up if you're going through something. It's
Right.
okay if you gotta cry. It's okay if you have to have a down day. Women, that's okay if you don't feel like you're woman that day. It's okay if you don't feel like you're the
Yeah.
strongest mom. That's
Being
okay.
vulnerable,
That's why we
we're
have to come
basically
together.
we stop being vulnerable with one another, and
Absolutely.
what it comes down to is feeling okay to be honest in what you're going through,
Absolutely.
and
There's
know
nothing
what
to
you
be ashamed about.
that day doesn't identify you.
No,
You
it
know.
doesn't. No, it doesn't. Absolutely. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. And unfortunately, too many of us feel this pride. I felt it
Hmm.
because I have to be a certain way. I can't cry. I'm a mom. I wanted this baby for so long. What am I
Right.
crying for? I was even told, a lot of women can't have babies. You should just be happy, be grateful you have your one. So I'm not allowed to be vulnerable. I'm not allowed to have my off day. Of course you can. And so
Right.
you feel ashamed because you feel this way. No
Mm-hmm.
one should be made to feel that way.
Right.
No day is perfect. Nobody's perfect. You're allowed to break down. It is okay not to be okay. And
That's
I'm
it.
grateful that I had the support because, like I said, if I didn't, I don't know where I would be today, to be honest with you. And I will
Right.
never forget the feeling where I told my mom, and I was scared to tell my husband. Because I remember having a conversation with my mom, and she's like, "Oh, I don't want you to go on medication," and blah 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 blah. Um, just made me lose my train of thought. Sorry. I remember, my mom telling me at one point, you know, don't go on medication because you don't want to be, dependent on it and blah 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 blah. But when I broke it down to her, she finally got it because she used to tell me, just pray about it. But when she really realized it was deeper than that, that's when she was like, okay, you know what? We really have to sit down and discuss this. And
Mm-hmm.
and I thank God for that because she was able to go out and defend me against other people that might be putting me down or whatever. But I could
Yeah.
I could tell you this, guys, do not be ashamed to reach out.
Right.
Please. If you talk to one person and they shut it down, find somebody else. Heck, I'm Summer Rain 13 on Instagram. If you feel a need to reach out to me, reach out to me. Because I've actually had people reach out to me and be like,
I
hey,
think
listen,
you're gonna,
Melissa.
yeah, you're gonna be the one to create that space. I
And I
think
kind of feel
you're gonna
like
create.
that's why I had to go through this
Mm-hmm.
to be an advocate for people because people don't speak about it. And then, like I said, in our community, we don't speak about it.
Yeah.
And I was ashamed for years. I remember my first year going back to work, I
Mm-hmm.
had thoughts. I really had thoughts of, I can't do this.
Mm.
My family is better off without me. And this was when I was back at work. Nobody knew that while I was driving my bus,
Yeah.
I was still seeing my psychiatrist.
Mm.
Like it was that first year back was hard. I think I must have been on medication for at least a year or two when I returned back to work, and nobody knew because I was too ashamed to talk about it.
Right.
Because people they just brush it off like it's nothing.
So you found it effective, like get from where you started to where you are now. It was like seeing a like was there therapy? Like there was the talking therapy as well with the therapist.
The talking therapy continued. So I returned. I had it in 2013. I went to work. I think it was like August of 2014. I went back to work.
Mhm.
So for at least another year, so until maybe 2015, I was still seeing a psychiatrist
Okay.
and still talking about it.
So it took a good 2 years of consistent therapy and medication
Therapy,
to
absolutely.
get
Yep. And they
the
say postpartum can last about 2 years after your
oh
child.
easily, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So it
common
could
too.
continue or it could happen later on. Like it could happen once your child turns one. That's when you can, have the postpartum. It can happen.
Right.
So I
Right.
took that time to get that extra help. Because I didn't have just postpartum. I had a lot of anxiety as well. So when you have anxiety, you're thinking scenarios. So I remember she had a naming ceremony. This is part of the African culture. So my husband's from his family's from Sierra Leone. So naming ceremony is very traditional. Is when you people around the village, the ones you care about, come to support this child. It's almost like you're offering the child, and that's when you're naming. You're announcing the name to the community. It's a big
Yeah.
deal, and it's a beautiful thing. But I
Yeah.
remember not wanting to do it just for the simple fact that I had so much anxiety over it for no particular reason. But when you have the
Right.
postpartum and you have the anxiety, you think in the worst case scenario. And I thought, okay, people are coming to judge. There was at one point I thought, okay, too much people are going to be around her. She's going to get hurt. Somebody might drop her or they might spill something on her. And I remember my friends just saying, it's okay, Melissa. It's okay. And I'm getting teary-eyed
Mm-hmm.
as I'm talking about it right now, but I remember my friends talking me through it. It's okay, Melissa. We're just going to take it one step at a time. And I remember one of my friends being there. I think it was actually two of them holding my hand throughout the whole thing. And the ceremony was amazing. It was a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing. Nothing happened. Everything went smoothly. Nothing that I thought about in my head. But that
Of
just
course.
goes to show you that your mind plays tricks on you.
Absolutely.
And it's a scary thing because I never wanted to go out or nothing. but it was part of the culture. It's part of our tradition. You know,
Yeah.
my culture, you get the child christened, you offer
Yeah.
the child to God. And in
Mm-hmm.
their culture, they have the naming ceremony. So both are very, very important. But
Hmm.
I was even scared to do the christening because I was just like, you know, what if they hold her and they pour the water on her and she drowns, or, you know, he drops her. I'm telling you, like, these are like drastic thoughts that I had.
Mm.
And I mean, you can't help it. And it sucks because it's deteriorating, literally. It can ruin what's it could ruin something that's supposed to be beautiful and
Right.
make it into, like, this huge thing. Like, I had all these thoughts and nothing remotely close to it. It ended up being such a beautiful thing. But when
Of
you're
course.
going through that stuff, you don't
It feels
think
real.
you're not
It feels
yourself. It's
right.
it's like you're hallucinating. Exactly. So you hear things, you see things that just aren't there, and you're not lashing out, but you're projecting things that you would think could happen when realistically they're not going to happen.
Right. I hear that.
So
I'm really glad that you were able to get the help you needed.
thank
It
you.
years, but you're at an amazing place right now. I know you're excited to have more. We talk
Yeah.
about that all the time. So that's the next journey you're on. But I really think that, because I've never heard your story like this before, I
Oh
really
yeah.
think that you've gone through what you've gone through and you have the heart that you have because you are supposed to create that space. So I really think
Mhm.
that this year, I expect to see some sort of Facebook group dedicated to postpartum depression for women of color.
Yeah, no doubt. Never thought about it,
Because
but now that you bring it up, yeah.
I think that's the easiest way to do it. If you're telling people to DM you and to find you on the gram, I mean, I think yeah, it's a Facebook group because then you can
Yeah.
really help women quickly and get them the help that they need. Like it could be a space where you're helping people to find the professionals they need. So
Hmm.
professionals could be in the group and women that need help can be in the group or fathers, whichever, however you
Yeah.
want to dedicate the space. But
Hmm.
it really is that judgment free zone that people need,
Yeah.
right?
And
And
I
here
will say
it's
that
necessary.
going through this experience, I can tell you Toronto has a lot of stuff to help families. When I was going through my stuff, I reached out to Toronto Public Health, and that's how I ended up finding the support group. So I had a nurse, which was great. She would call and check up on me like once a week. Then we
Mm-hmm.
started having the support groups every Saturday, but she
Mm-hmm.
would still call up and check on me.
Mm.
Then I got in contact with a home worker, and these women were a godsend. They would literally come into the home with you and help you with anything. So if
Mm-hmm.
you need help with, one of my problems was I had a hard time bonding with Sierra.
Okay.
My husband was great. He used to talk to her and all that kind of stuff, but I couldn't. I was just like, okay, feeding her and put her back down. But I'd have somebody come into the home and help me bond with her.
Oh
She would
wow.
take me to, like, for walks.
Mhm.
You even have you're able to have somebody come into the home and help you cook, help you clean the home because you
Right.
can't do it. So these stuff are available, but it's not promoted. You would not know unless you go through it. So
Right.
there are channels that you can go through to get the help, which
Absolutely.
is
I love
great.
it.
But again, you don't know unless you've gone through it,
And
right?
that's another thing that can be beneficial in your space. And like those resources that you're aware of, you can definitely share them with me, and I can make them available through my site and resources for clients. But
Hmm.
that's something that you would be that link in the Black community and all these resources, and like really bringing them together in that space.
Yeah, sure.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Okay.
So.
Big
We'll
things are going still.
So we'll talk more about it at your next appointment because I would love
Yeah,
to
for
see
sure.
that. I feel like you would really be, walking in your purpose and supporting people, and it can be such an answer to prayers to so many people out there like struggling with that, right? Like you
Hmm.
said,
Hmm.
in silence because they don't know what to say and who they can be honest and vulnerable with. So
Hmm.
if we very clear that the space that you're creating for them, they can be free and nothing will be taken outside of there to use against them. I think that's
Yeah.
the big, that's like the stepping stone, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Yeah.
love Well, again, I haven't heard your story like this. I'm so excited
Oh,
you decided to
well,
jump on
thank you.
and get
Well,
into it.
thank you for allowing me to
Uh,
voice this.
yeah,
Been
well,
a
you
long
should
time
do
since
it
I spoke
again.
about it.
It's a long time since you spoke about it, you said?
Yeah, to be honest with you. Yeah, so you brought up some stuff. It's like, oh wow, like, when you look back, it's like, wow, I got over that.
Thank you for all that. Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. But
yeah.
yeah, so I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And I'm sure we'll be back again because we have a lot of good candid conversations when we get together.
No
So
doubt, no
as
doubt.
we continue on this journey, more will be uncovered and we'll come back and share. But thank you so, so much for coming and sharing your story
Thanks
today.
for having me. And ladies, get your yoni steamed. Okay. Men, get your yoni steamed. Oh, we didn't talk about one more thing. Do we have time?
Yeah,
Can I just say, men, you will appreciate the steaming.
yeah.
You will
You
appreciate
will
the
be
steaming.
booking the next appointment.
I'm telling you, book it. You will be pleased.
You'll be pleased.
Yes,
I have
yes,
a lot
yes, yes.
of that now sponsor the meeting. They sponsor the appointment.
You
They
see what I'm
drive
saying?
out there. They'll
Men
drive a
benefit
couple
from
hours
it
out
too.
here.
Yes. They are about that life, the yoni steaming life. My husband says it's steaming my veggies. So so now that I do home base, he's like, okay, so the veggies are steaming today. Okay, cool. Let me know when you're done.
It's funny because I ran into him on road too. He's like, you're
Yes.
everywhere. He's like, you're everywhere. You're in my house yesterday. And now you're
Because he's like, you know who I saw? I'm like, who? He's like, you're steaming lady.
the
Yeah,
steaming
he's
lady.
too funny.
That's
He's too
great.
funny. But
So yeah,
yeah,
like,
there's a lot of
everyone
benefits to
said they
steaming.
enjoyed it. It was a great conversation. Thank all you
Yes.
ladies for jumping on, watching the replay again. To share your story because look at where we went to. I had no idea. I know she wanted to touch on the book and how it brought her through, but had no idea really what that looked like, what she dealt with, and what she was able to overcome. And
Yeah.
huge. I know it's gonna help a whole lot of other women. It's gonna stay on the page, and so as I meet ladies who are dealing with it as well, I can also send them here. Actually, one of my clients is a psychiatrist as well,
Oh,
specifically for
nice.
postpartum depression. Yeah, so she
Nice.
specifically focuses on postpartum depression. So I'll be sharing her link as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm gonna stay on you for this Facebook group. So when
Oh,
that is together, we'll be sharing that with our community here too.
no doubt. Yeah, for sure. So thanks for having me. But
Yes,
yeah, if you guys can check out that book, check out the book. What is it called? Down Came the Rain, I believe.
yes.
Um,
Sent me
just to
the
give you, it's an eye opener. So whether you're going through postpartum or know somebody, or just want to just read about it. Because for me, when I read about it, it was just like, wow, this is exactly what I'm going through, and I'm not alone. You just have to know that you are not alone. And like I said, this is not just for women, this is for men as well. You're not alone. Speak up. It's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to reach out for help.
right.
2022, we're going to do better. We're going to reach out and support each other. This year is about love
Up,
and support.
speak up, get the
Period.
help that you need.
Yeah.
You'll
Well,
live a better, more fulfilling life if you reach out and get the help that you need.
yeah.
And I don't want to downplay what you said about the fear of saying something that's going to work against you later, because that's definitely a real thing.
Yes, it
So
is.
that's why I cannot express how important I'm telling you it is to create this space for people, because
Mhm.
we do need a space where we can bounce something off of somebody in a safe space.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No judgment. Yeah, no judgment
Yeah,
space.
talk up. That's exactly what they said in the comments. Talk up, speak up.
Yeah, talk up. Yeah,
Your
exactly.
truth. Be honest with somebody, a counselor, a therapist, a pastor, whoever you can trust.
Someone you
If
can
you
trust.
haven't
Absolutely.
found somebody, send either of us a DM. That's one thing
Hmm.
about coming in for Yoni Sim too. When people tell you guys that it's so much more, I can't explain it. People
Yeah.
unload a lot when they come in. even before they start steaming, but definitely once they start steaming. It's very therapeutic, relaxing.
Yes.
It's deep
Yep.
cleansing. It feels
Yep.
good. I am the perfect stranger. Everything here is
She
confidential.
is the perfect
It's
stranger. OMG.
it's
You
a
feel so comfortable.
yeah, it's a huge mental release. So
Yes.
if it's not me, like just finding somebody where you can,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's judgment free here, right? I'm not your
Yeah.
husband, I'm not your best friend. There's no judgment later. And quite frankly, I see so many ladies that a lot of you do have, similar stories or, struggling with the same things, the same
Yeah.
challenges. A lot of us are dealing with a lot of the same sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Especially with everything going on.
it's
Like
our
to this day,
body.
I still deal with anxiety. So, and I cope with it. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
one day at a
no,
time. You know what I mean?
that's the thing. One thing, once I started doing this work, is like to see how many people are dealing with something, like you said, silently, but it's like we're
Hmm.
all walking around with the same secret. Like finding
Yeah.
out how common BV is,
Yes.
like there's so much shame associated with it, and then we're pinpointing it back to sexual partners too, and it's just like the woman's walking around with all this shame, but really so many women are dealing with it, and so many women are dealing with it because of their partners, not because
Yeah.
of that or their hygiene practices or the way they were raised or anything like that. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's talking about it is gonna start to
Yeah.
that narrative and yeah, bring people the peace that they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No one deserves to suffer alone. We're all in this together, like literally.
That's it. That's exactly
Yeah.
it. Well, thank you again,
No,
Melissa.
thank you.
Said, I know that you'll be back on again. Thank all you ladies that jumped on, down to our last ones that are still with us now. They said it was a great conversation. I saw you enter the room at the beginning. So thank you so much for staying all to the end. Again, I promise you guys are going to see more of me this year. I think I'm going to
Yes, yes.
on Tuesday with Malcolm's Choice, Jody Ann. She's
Okay.
one of my favorite guests too. She does a lot of things in the Black community. So she owns Malcolm's Choice. Malcolm's Choice is a Black business directory. So it's like
Mm,
business owners across Canada.
nice.
So if you are a business owner, you want to get registered on there so that other businesses or other people can find you when they're specifically trying to support a Black owned business. So get onto Malcolm's Choice and show up on Tuesday.
Malcolm's
We're
choice.
gonna go live. I don't like putting the time on it. We said we were gonna
I was
go
gonna
live.
ask you what time,
We
but
said
yeah,
we're
we just gotta
gonna go
tune
live
in.
at 11:30 this morning.
Listen,
I don't like being bound by time. Okay, the only thing that I want on time is y'all appointments. I need y'all to show up on time.
facts, facts. You know me, I'm always early. I'm almost late.
But yeah. So I
Yeah.
think we tentatively said Tuesday at 11, but don't hold me to that. Like I don't put time
Okay.
on my
We just know the
postcards.
date. Just mark it on your calendar.
Be ready,
Yeah.
stay ready,
To
so
be announced for the
get
time.
ready.
Yes, yes, yes.
But yeah, so that's going to be Tuesday. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Thank you for showing up today. Stay tuned. Send me DMs of topics or guests that you want to see on my channel.
Thank you again for all that you do, girl. It's much appreciated.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, ladies, have a good night. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye.